What do you think as you hold and look at your son?
He's a fighter. He's a miracle. He tries the best he can with what he does have.
What is Jabari's diagnosis?
It's unknown. Hopefully we can find out in the future. It'll help us and other people in the future. If there is any kids in the future born like him. They said about like 25 years ago there was a child that was born like him without skin, but unfortunately the baby did not make it after birth.
When Jabari was born, he literally didn't have any skin?
None. It was completely transparent, so you can see every vein, artery. You can actually see his heart beating through his the little thin layer that he did have. It was from, I would say, the nose down, his scalp. Thank God he had skin on his head.
What is it like to have a child who has this rare condition and he's the only known case to survive it ever?
At the beginning, it was very hard to understand and process, but as these many years go by, it's a learning experience. It's quite interesting, just to see like how doctors are able to do certain things for him.
Hello, Jabari. I'm excited to be here with you today. We're gonna have a lot of fun getting to know each other. My name's Chris. And I'm really happy to be here. Really excited to meet your family. What's the best way for me to say hi to Jabari? Is it vocally or?
I would say vocally.
Vocally,
yes.
okay. Does he enjoy physical touch, like a little bump, or might that be overwhelming for him?
No, it's not.
Okay. Jabari, it's really nice to meet you.
Who is it?
I'm super excited to meet a new friend today. I can tell you're a lot of fun. You're dancing around, having a good time. I like that big smile you have. You have a really nice smile, Jabari. Thank you for saying hi to me. You're a really cool dude. I like your little laugh too.
I had numerous doctors, nurses tell me that he wasn't going to make it. You know, there was no survival chance at all. And just to see him 4 years later is just like, you know, you can't believe everything everybody says. And his plastic surgeon is like completely amazing. He's like a miracle worker.
What has he done?
Well, he's the one that first did the skin grafts on him.
What is the process of skin grafting like? Did they do it all at once, or was it a long process?
So the initial one, they put a pig skin just to see if, I don't know if it's like with everybody, but I know his case, just to see if his body was going to reject it. They didn't know how it was going to happen. So they put pig skin on him. I would say for about almost a month he had it while the lab was growing his skin by a skin biopsy from behind his ear. And then when the skin grafts came, they were put on all at one time.
So they took a skin biopsy from behind his ear and grew skin?
Yes, so his own skin. Instead of growing like artificial skin or getting donors, this lab in Boston actually voluntarily said, hey, we'll try to do this. We've never done it, but we'll go ahead and try. So they were like send a skin biopsy from behind his ear, and they grew, I believe, 25 trays of skin.
How old was he when he did have the skin grafts?
He was only a few months old. He was like 5-6 months old.
What did he do before then?
Nothing. They just had him, we would put bandages, on him.
He was at home?
He was in the hospital the whole time. So he was in the hospital from his birthday, New Year's Day, until December 14th of 2019. So almost the first year of his life, he stayed in the hospital.
I imagine him interacting with other kids his age would be great for his development.
Yes.
How can other parents kind of foster that relationship and encourage their kids to form a bond with Jabari?
Just kind of be open. Don't be scared. He's not sensitive at all. He's very tough. Just interacting and just like teach your kids like knowledge too, because I see kids like just stare at him and don't know what to do and don't know what to say. So it's always good for parents just to explain to the kids like, hey, there is different kids that look a little different, but they're just like us.
Could they be blunt, kind of like we're in this interview? How maybe they could say he was born without skin, so he spent the first few years getting skin and being healthy, and now he's learning the things that you learned when you were a baby.
Yes.
Is Jabari's brain developing typically?
Yes. Just as far as there's going to be a lot of delays because of his vision, what that takes a lot of place of a lot of learning. So other than that, they said everything was okay. I would just say these last few months he's kind of opened up more. He's more interactive with us. He laughs and giggles. We say something and he says or yes, no. So it's kind of funny because some of the questions we ask him, we're like, oh my god, like how would you know?
Is it okay if I ask him a few questions? Jabari, I have a big question for you.
Excuse me.
Do you love your mom? Do you love your mom a lot? Was that him answering?
Yes. And usually he doesn't like how he's set up with you. He normally is like this attached to me. So that's a big thing too, because he usually never likes to sit up at all. He likes literally to be cradled. Yes.
Does Jabari feel safe around you?
Yes. I would say when he is like sad or crying, as soon as I pick him up, it's completely different. Like he just completely feels like very safe and secure.
I'm learning all about you today, Jabari. I'd like to tell you a little bit about me. My name is Chris, and I have a puppy dog. I have a dog who goes woof, 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 woof. That's what my dog always says. Woof, 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 woof. Woof, woof, woof. Was that a giggle?
Yes.
And sometimes my dog goes meow. Just kidding. Dogs don't go meow. Dogs go woof, woof, woof. And my dog's name is Noodle. Noodle, yeah.
And sometimes when you talk to him certain words, it sounds like he's like mimicking it back.
It does sound like he was mimicking Noodle. Do you believe he will speak one day?
Yes, I do. Just because we're getting a lot more improvement as far as him responding to small thing, it'll be or we ask him a silly question, he laughs. So it's a lot of stuff is improving as time goes on. Now he's like even ticklish now. Like he was never ticklish before. And
does he laugh?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna tickle you. I'm gonna tickle you. I'm gonna tickle you. I'm gonna tickle you. He never did before. And now you start from his stomach and I'm like, I'm gonna get you. He's already giggling before I even get to the top of him. Or he tried to run away. He turned his back and I'm like tickling him in the back. I'm like, you can't get away. He just starts giggling. Right. I'm gonna tickle you. I'm gonna tickle you. I'm gonna tickle.
Does he enjoy meeting new people?
Yes. He said no. Yes, you do.
So does he shake his head yes and no?
Yes, and sometimes it's like him being silly. You could tell certain questions. He'll shake his head no and then giggle and stuff like that.
Oh, so he was just joking right there. I like your sense of humor, Jabari.
Like some question I ask him, I'm like, what do you mean? And he'll start giggling and stuff like that.
You're funny, Jabari.
Yeah. So maybe I'll be a comedian when I get older. Right? He's giggling.
I love people who have funny jokes.
He's giggling.
You're really funny. Does he have 5 fingers underneath?
Yes. So in the picture too, you can see when he was born, all his fingers were completely, open. His toes were all separated too. Just over time, with this, because the main thing with the skin grafts was just to get him covered, to prevent infections and stuff. And then the plastic surgeon's like, hey, in the future when he turns like around 4 years old, when he's not hitting as much growth spurts, we'll go ahead and work on the more cosmetic to release everything, which made complete sense at the time.
And that's functional too, right? To have
yes.
5 fingers.
And he moves them underneath. This one's a little bit more loose, but the other one you can actually see all his fingers moving. You can hear him popping. Right, Bari?
What about his feet?
The same thing. This foot is completely also fused. but he has all his toes underneath him. One of his leg is fused, which he'll get defused next month. So that's going to be a very big step ahead because he'll be able to start standing up since one of his leg is unfused. So that's going to be quite interesting. And his arm too, they're going to go ahead and release one of them. So it's just interesting to see what he's going to be able to do and how he's going to react because he's been like this for 4 years.
So there's a lot of unknown to what he could possibly do.
Yes. Even how the surgery is going to go, we don't know. Is it going to fuse back? Is it not going to fuse back? So it's going to be quite a journey with him.
I see that his eyes are fused.
Yes.
Can you tell me about them?
So when he was born, they were just how they are, fused. Again, they don't know if that's part of why he was missing skin. Was he like underdevelopment or we don't know. They did try to unfuse him in May of 2019, and unfortunately, because he didn't have skin, he was still trying to heal. I felt like it was just too much at once, where his body didn't know what to do, so they ended up fusing back again. Excuse me. Excuse me.
Do they know if he had vision when his eyes were unfused?
Yes, so the ophthalmologist did do several tests on him, and they said everything was normal. So that was another good thing. So hopefully in the future they're able to open it back up since everything is functionable down there.
And something I find interesting is we really have no clue what's going to happen in the future with his development. Mm-hmm. He may be able to see, he may be able to walk, he may be able to have a conversation like anybody else. Mm-hmm. What is it like to have that unknown?
It's very hard. But just seeing the obstacles that he's already conquered gives me a lot of faith and hope that, he will get there. It's going to take a little time, but he'll get there. It's basically he's like a newborn and you have to teach him everything all over, So it'll be a learning experience.
Because he spent the first few years of his life just fighting to survive. So now he's learning what other kids were learning during that time.
Yes. And then him having his siblings too helps, them interacting with him and trying to show him, go to the park, goes down the slide, stuff like, any other kid would. It just takes a little time.
What's it like to have a brother like Jabari?
Good, because I play with them a lot.
What kind of things do you play together? What's your favorite thing to do with Jabari?
I like to go on walks with him. He enjoys like the fresh air. Kind of the little bumpy roads and stuff when we do push him on the shoulder. He likes it. He starts laughing.
So it's the feeling of the bump in the road.
Yes, he loves it. He literally starts laughing. And you think, like, oh my God, he's hurting or something. Like, you just went over a big bump. Like, he giggles.
I'm really happy I get to spend time with you today, Jabari.
He's just listening. What is it?
And I noticed that Jabari makes a lot of vocalizations and sounds, but when I talk to him directly, he quietly listens.
Yes, and this is different too because he usually not likes to sit like this. He usually always wants me to stand up and hold him upwards. So you could tell he's liking the interaction.
I'm liking it too, Jabari. Jabari, 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 Jabari. Sorry, I'm goofy, Jabari.
You dancing? You dancing?
Oh, you're dancing because of my silly song?
Yes.
Is that him doing that?
Yes.
Jabari, Jabari, Jabari. Nice dance moves. I'm dancing too, Jabari. My moves aren't as sweet as yours, though. Yeah, look at that. The kick of the leg. What is it like for you to see him express joy? Because I'm sure there was a while where he wasn't able to do that.
It feels very good. It is like him interacting. Just to get that feedback, What is it? You get your foot. You get your foot. He's dancing. He's been doing this lately too.
He dances?
Yes. It is just out of nowhere. He just starts going.
What is Jabari's relationship like with his sister Nevaeh?
They have a really tight bond. Also with his older brother. They have a very, very strong connection. Even when Jabari was first born, I told my kids, hey, your brother, looks different. I kind of prepared them as best as I could. They were very young at the time too, so they didn't quite understand fully what I was trying to explain to them. Doctors and the nurses were like, I don't think it's best for them to come in the room because it was very graphic. And I was like, hey, my kids, you know, they're pretty strong, you know. And I was like, they're gonna let me know if it's too much for them, then, you know, they could go. As soon as they went in, oh, can we hold him? They were very interactive, and I had explained to them, like, we can't hold him. The reasoning is because of infections. He's very fragile.
Do you remember the first time you met Jabari?
In the hospital.
What was that like?
Sad.
Do you remember how Nevaeh responded when she met him for the first time?
Yeah, she was, because she asked, you know, the first thing was like, can I hold him? And I told her, no, put your foot on, baby. I was like, no, you can. And she was very sad because she's a middle child, so she never experienced having a sibling small. So she wanted to be hands-on, and I kept explaining to her, like, we can't do that right now.
How old was he when you held him for the first time?
He was like 10 months old, 11 months old.
What was that like?
It was amazing. Just because I didn't get a hold of him at birth like any normal pregnancy, you hold him after birth and stuff like that. It was very heartwarming. It was amazing. Because it seemed like forever, like I was never going to be able to hold him.
Can you tell me about the social impact of Jabari's diagnosis? What is it like for you to go out in public with him? Is everybody accommodating and accepting?
It's hard. I'm going to be very truthful on that. It's very hard, even me as a mother. When we go out in public, I push him in a stroller, and I catch myself always covering him, as far as like the top of the stroller so nobody sees him. And hopefully I could overcome that. It's just very hard because I get questions, even if I'm holding them and I have a blanket on, they're like, oh, how old is the baby? And I'm like now he's 4 years old, and they're like, it just gets very awkward. It's very awkward silence, and I don't know how to move forward with that. Or they're like, 4 months? And I'm like, no, 4 years old. They just look at him like, oh, he looks like a baby. I'm like, you know, he's not a baby. And to even explain, like, oh, and then like we get further into details, like, oh, well, you know, what does he have? I'm like, well, he was born without skin. And then the first thing is like, oh, he must be in so much pain. Like, they just assume by looking at him, like, oh, he's in so much pain. I'm like, Jabari is actually in no pain. I'm with him all day, every day. He doesn't really cries. He's very happy, very energetic. So it's just like people always look at him and assume the worst. And they're like, oh, well, you know, he's not going to be, I get a lot of people are like, oh, he's not going to be like normal and stuff like that. And I'm like, none of us, even as adults, none of us are normal. We're all completely different, which that's a learning experience for everybody. You know, you learn stuff every day.
Is that something that random people say to you or people close to you?
Just random people that don't know him. And I'm like, hey, just ask me questions, you know. I'm gladly, you know, explain everything to you.
If you could record a little introduction message for people who are curious about Jabari so they didn't have to be invasive or say rude things, what would you say?
He was just born different, but he's overcome a lot of stuff. It's going to take a lot more time than anybody else just to get to those hurdles. But I mean, he's strong. He's not in pain at all.
What is the most important thing for others to know about Jabari?
He may look different, but I could guarantee he's just like everybody else. He goes through battles, but he conquers them.